So, as I was saying, my name is Donald Openda, also known as Don the Black. I'll be your host for the evening for this auspicious occasion. So, before we start, I'd like to invite one Fatia Kipsoi to give us a word of prayer.
No, I'm not Fatia.
Obviously, he's not Fatia.
As confirmed, I'm not Fatia. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Yeah, just to confirm, my name is Lewis Momanyi. As some of my friends call me CEO, but my dad calls me the son. So, let's pray. Precious Father in heaven, thank you for the gift of life and thank you for the gift of today. We gather today, Lord, so we can be able now to celebrate the hard work of our friend and our big brother, to some our small brother Stephen Ogweno for what he's been able to do in terms of the book. And we ask, Lord, that as we're going to launch it, let it be able to give a lot of impact to a lot of people who are going to read it, and let it also be able to spearhead in terms of the knowledge which has been shared to the book so that we can be able to get some well. Father, we pray that as we hope to start this function tonight, we ask that, Lord, you may be with us. Send the gift of the Holy Spirit and be able to guide us. And whatever we do, let it be under your guidance. In Jesus' name, I do pray and believe.
Yeah, you see now, me, my English is in the Goosey Islands, and I am here. Sometimes when you try to reach to the server refuses. Yes? Server refuse. So, practical skills for entrepreneurial success stems from real-life experience of a successful entrepreneurship in Africa and gives context and valuable is setting and beyond. The wisdom in this book is timeless and encapsulates the true perspective of success in life and business. Unlike other works of its kind, this volume not only gives the reader a high level of insight and wisdom for entrepreneurship and success in life, but also breaks it down to practical steps that the reader could implement immediately to start putting the lessons on this book into action. Ultimately, this book is for everyone because the success habits and practical skills discussed herein will lead to success in all areas of your life. Somebody say amen. I feel spiritual right about now, and I feel like telling someone, turn to your neighbor, say, neighbor, you are here to learn something, neighbor. You should read a book once or twice. Just to continue now, this is about the person who made us gather around this place. Yeah, his name is none other than Ogweno Stephen. He is a multi-award-winning entrepreneur who was recognized in 2020 as one of the top 100 most influential young leaders in Africa. And in 2021, I believe I should pause. I believe I should pause and then go back, read it again. When I pause, you guys will clap. Hello? Hello? All right. Now we go back. So, Ogweno Stephen is a multi-award-winning entrepreneur who was recognized in 2020 as one of the top 100 most influential young leaders in Africa. I feel like I'm worshiping you already. You know, it's only politicians who, when they talk 2 sentences and then they pause, people just know that they're supposed to clap. Yeah? Yeah, so in Africa, and in 2021, awarded Youth of the Year in the top 35, under 35 Youth Leadership Awards in Africa. Ogweno is the author of 3 other books, including The Drug-Free Youth, The Mental Health Matters Anthology, and the co-author of the widely acclaimed bestseller, We Have a Dream. Yeah? His experience with entrepreneurship and developing successful startups has made him a sought-after startup startup coach, speaker, and consultant. So, for further information, please visit www.ogwenostephen.com. Yeah. So, that is the official part. I believe I should entertain you guys a little bit. Are you guys ready? We play a small game. I have a small game I want us guys to play, and I will need maximum cooperation from you guys. Yeah. I'm going to segment you guys into 3. Yeah. into 3, whereby I have those guys over there. Yeah, I will do like this. Yeah, I will do those 2 tables, these 2 tables, and then here. Since you guys are the fewest, you guys are going to be the robbers. Yes. Don't take it the bad way. It's just a small game we are playing. These guys are going to be the robbers. You guys are going to be the robbers. And then when we move over here, these 2 tables are going to be the villagers. These guys are going to be the villagers. And then the backbenchers over there, they are going to be the police. Hello? Hello, police? Hello, villagers? Hello, robbers? Now we're going to play a very small game whereby if I mention the area in which you're seated, you just stand up a little bit and then you sit. Yeah, it's like a wake-up call. Yeah, remember when you used to say so and so, you say present teacher. That's the same thing we're going to do, but you're going to just stand and then sit. Yeah. The villagers went to report to the police about the matter of insecurity of the robbers, because the robbers were terrorizing them with the guns that belong to the police. Hello? Hello? Now the police, hello? Yeah, now, I believe there's a certain group that I can work with, yeah? I believe there's a certain group that I can work with. Hello? Turn to your neighbor and tell him, biashara ni biashara. Have you ever gone to a place and they ask you, biashara yako kuni gani? Ask someone, biashara yako kuni gani? So, as a poet, your business is to write. And you have the universe to write about. You can write about people, their smiles, their frowns. But you generalize it to 2. Pain and love. There is pain, honor. There are people who cause the pain. You have seen pain in people. So you express it with a little bit of sorrow. Then there is love. You add some sugar in love. There's some taste, some smile. Just as poetry, there is love and pain, same as business. Business, there is profit and loss. Like, if you're doing business, you need to know mathematics. So, in mathematics, let X make it, let X be pain. Pain equated to loss. As a businessman, if you go through loss, you'll go through a lot of pain. And profit equated to love. Every businessman loves to make profit. So, as you love poetry, you need to love your business. Tell someone you need to love your business. So love what you're doing and love your business. Thank you. Thank you very much. So I'd like to move on to the second speaker. He goes by the name Chico Amadou. He is the CEO of Chico Innovators. He's an author and an entrepreneur. Undoubtedly, one of the most visionary and daring innovators of his generation. Amadou Chico Sissoko's mission is to identify, coach and invest Africa's most daring and impact-driven innovators with more than 15 years experience in innovation and entrepreneurship across African continent. He is a serial entrepreneur. Serial entrepreneur. You know you are dope when someone uses a word like serial. You know serial is used like with bad things, yeah? Serial killer. Now when you put it like serial and entrepreneur, that's an amazing person, isn't it? Let's clap before I continue with this. Yes, he's a serial entrepreneur and an alumni of the prestigious Mandela Washington Yearly Fellowship Award. Formerly the head facilitator for the Business and Entrepreneur Program for 2 of the 4 yearly regional leadership centers in Nairobi and Accra. How did you meet this guy? How did you guys get to meet? You know, I've been trying to enter Yali, my friend. It's been 5 years. Since Obama, it was 6 years. When did Obama come to Kenya? Yes, in 2015. Hey, I've been trying. I don't know what I should do now. But I think by now coming to this event, I have a chance. Yeah, I have a chance, especially in the entrepreneurship wing. Yeah, I believe we all can. So the third and undoubtedly the final speaker goes by the name Herman Bigam Muli, African elder innovator, serial entrepreneur and inventor. Herman Muli Bigam, producer and presenter of over 25 exhibitions of African art that have been featured in approximately over 45 national publications. Now, in case people are not wondering, in case you feel like it is not carrying weight, organizing just one exhibition, student exhibition, is hell. Let me tell you. It's hell, let me tell you. Because an exhibition incorporates taking people from different areas of interest. Yeah? You have artists, you have project managers, you have advertisers and marketers and everyone. You have to put them in a working space. And being a creative, I know that creatives don't like anyone coming into their space. So when you hear someone has organized over 25 exhibitions, he knows a thing or two about pressure or handling pressure. I think this is the kind of guy we should put in charge of the Kenyan economy, my friend. Because where? Turn to your neighbor and tell them, where? Where? You know, sometimes you just wake up and say two words. You know, you just wake up, look at your left and you're like, where? Where? And then you go to work. Because you need to say that, yeah? You need to say that. It's every time, like, I went to buy, should I say cooking fat or cooking oil? I went to buy cooking oil, which I used to buy around 600 shilling, around 2 months ago. Right now, it is retailing at 1,066. That is the 3 liter. Somebody say, where? Where? You know, that is when you start saying things like, you know, it's not even healthy using cooking fat. Sometimes you can just boil food. Yeah? Sometimes it's not, you know, you look at someone and then they want chips and fried chicken. You say, fried chicken will kill you, my friend. You don't know? Cholesterol. My friend, cholesterol, itakumaliza. So, I believe that is where we are. And just going forward, I believe this Moli will help us going forward. So, another thing you should know is that publishing. You know, when someone says 45 national publications, it takes just publication of 2 articles for one to graduate for their master's degree. Yeah? Just 2. And his publications are featured in over 45. So this is they have very heavy brains. You know, heavy brains is not something that you find very easy. Let me tell you one characteristic of a heavy brain. In 1, 2, 3, ladies and gentlemen, let's give a round of applause for Kitungu Macho. Hello. How are you? Mko salama? Assalamu alaikum. Mko salama kabisa. My name is Wanjopi P. Rambi, and my state name is Kitungu Machoni, a name that I was given by the late President of Kenya, Mwai Kibaki. Because I was telling a story of a boy that in a tradition, boys never cry. And when he cries, anasema si machozi unayoyaona, ni kitunguu kimeingia machoni. Sababu even if an onion gets to an elder person, ni lazima alie. So that is where my name came from. Na akauliza, hicho kitunguu kiko wapi? Hicho kitunguu machoni. And I got my name, Kitunguu Machoni. So out there they call me Kitunguu Machoni. And I'm also a teacher. And I'm also a lecturer at Mount Kenya University. Lecturing Kiswahili, historical development of Kiswahili as a language. And I'm a writer. And I'm so happy for my fellow author, Stephen Ogweno. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And I'll give you a poem that I wrote concerning behind the scenes. This is a special invitation
to entrepreneurs of this nation. Come all, please come. Give your neighbor a call. For the long-awaited day is here to launch practical skills for entrepreneurial success. Tell the entrepreneur, I'm standing in readiness with the palm at hand, capital in my pocket. Only one thing I'll keep, the behind the scenes. Please don't mind the fact that you are tireless and you even don't enjoy most rewards. Please don't mind the risk you take to bring about the person you are. Today is my day to bring you the behind the scenes. His name is Mr. Entrepreneur Ogweno Stephen, known for roaming everywhere. I mean, here and there, climbing the high hills and moving down the valleys, planning to produce Mr. Entrepreneur. I bring you behind the scenes. He never sleeps. I mean long hours, planning, managing, strategizing to bring about a production for consumption purposes. He's sacrificed a lot, saving his time and money, setting goals with high vision. In uniqueness, he is the behind the scenes. They laughed at him when he told his story. Tell them, he called them mentors, but they did laugh at him. He asked them for guidance and calling them late night for counseling, not knowing he was determined, reading entrepreneurship books, searching on internet, keeping records of his determination with patience. He succeeded. Mr. Entrepreneur Stephen Ogweno. He is the behind the scene. He set targets with enough motive behind all mockery. With a lot of effort, it was never too late. He knew his vision and the goal at hand. And his very day task. And today, he's the smartest entrepreneur myself I know. Mr. Entrepreneur Stephen Ogweno. He is the behind the scene. Take note of everything behind the scene. Work indeed effortless behind the scene. Strategize and plan behind the scene. Remember all the risk behind the scene. Get guidance behind the scene. Expect great challenges behind the scene. Have a passion behind the scene. Never give up behind the scene. Remain hopeful. Remembering your mission. Trust in the process. For behind the scene is in practical skills for entrepreneurial success. Mr. Wanjobipi, the VP.
Let me echo along Nyamapo's words, Makofi. I usually love learning because learning is a continuous process. He said Mr. Ogweno is the Mr. behind the scenes. So what happens behind the scenes? Yeah? That's one thing I usually ask myself. You know, sometimes when you see things running, you usually don't get to know what usually happens that something runs. Yeah? Like a good example is this book launch over here. If this guy just decided to sleep in front of his Wordpad or his Microsoft Word, what did he use? You just open the Word and then you just look at the blank page and you're like, I can't do this. If he did that, we couldn't be here today. Yeah. So because of that, I believe he deserves a round of applause. Yeah. Round of applause. Round of applause for Stephen. And round of applause for Chichongu Maton. One more time, ningekuwa pia kama ungekuwa saidi ya somo, ungekuwa saidi ya kitungutu. Hakuna mahali pengine kungekuwa. So guys, we've reached the first half of our program. I believe we should go out and get our cocktails. If you're here, we should move in an organized manner towards where you saw the glasses up. You go, pick your cocktail, and then you come back inside for the speeches by our speakers. Hello? Hello? Are we together? Yes. So right about now, I would like to hand over the baton to one and only Modo Wanyoba to give us some good vibes. And once you hear the good vibes, please go, get your drink, get your snack, and come back inside for the speeches. See you in the second half of our program. Let's do this.
Africa, which we co-founded with Ogweno Stephen. And I want to first of all comment, when or how I met Stephen. I'll take 1 minute. That was back in KU in 2018 when I was vying for congressman. And we were around 6 guys. And so we saw the essence of us coming together to be able to select one person to go and vie for that position. And we had agreed that whoever will be chosen will be supported. Unfortunately, those who were, who were supposed to support me, or when I was ultimately chosen, or did not support me, the only person who was there until the time of election was Ogweno Stephen. I'm accused that a while back we had met though, but we had not had a lot of interaction because I was doing my other stuff. I was much into leadership, and Stephen had just started storytelling. So when I successfully lost in that election, then I said, okay, now let's do some work together. And I became part of storytelling. And by that time, I started the Beyond Early Africa, which we later changed to Legacy Leadership Africa. I must say that I'm very, very happy today because this book is being launched on a day when Legacy Leadership Africa has just been registered and is now a very legal entity. That is something that I would say is a double blessing. I would say blessing galore, because now Legacy Leadership Africa is now, being registered, or has been registered, and now we are being recognized, or we are recognized by the government. I want to also comment on the book. When Steve started writing this book, that was around 20, of course the idea came before I even knew that he's writing the book, but that was around 2020. Then I used to see Steve writing, and he was determined to write a chapter a day. And I used to see him even when we were some projects in behavior, just wanting to finish it. And I realized that when you have the will and the energy and the determination, you can do it. So launching this book is a testament of the energy that Steve has, and is an inspiration to many of us, or even authors who are here who want to also write. I know there are many stories here which have not been written. There are people here who have stories which have not been written because maybe they can't start, or because they lack that drive to write it. But today, you learn that, it's possible to write a book. It's possible for you to put your thoughts into words and put it in the book. And being the very first person to review this book, I would want to recommend this book to every other person, whether you are an entrepreneur, whether you are just a person who is interested in reading. And I believe that this book will be that one book that will promote what is right now going around in Africa, what we call the market creating innovation. As has been said by many people, that Africa needs a market creating innovation for it to grow. Coupled with our rich entrepreneurial culture, I think this book fits so well with the current entrepreneurial ecosystem that we currently have in Kenya and also in Africa. And I recommend this book to any other person who wants to grow into entrepreneurship. I want to also comment on one thing, that when you have the determination, and this is something that I've learned from Steve, for the years that I've known him, I've learned that if you are determined, you can do anything. And so today we are here launching a book that started with a thought, and right now it has been put into a book. And I want to say also again that Steve, you are an inspiration to me. And I think there are many people who are learning from you, including me, of course. There are many people who are, this world, I would say, is happy to have you in it. And so keep on doing what you're doing, because when you're doing something great, the whole universe will converge to help you achieve it. You are an achiever by excellence, so to say, and I believe that this book will become a bestseller.
Yes.
I wish you well. I wish that this book becomes a bestseller, and many other books that you intend to write. And personally, as I now go into recess to finish my book, The Beyond Paper, I know you know about it. I think this is an inspiration. As I now take a 3 months break to just finish this book, I think we'll be back again next year to launch another book under Legacy Leadership Africa. Yeah. So I want to recognize a few people who came courtesy of my personal invitation. I want to recognize Christian Ogola. I think it's somewhere there. Christian Ogola, you can just wave. I want to recognize those who came from Pro Mentors Africa, where I started mentorship back in 2017. Tabitha, just stand at the wave. So Tabitha is representing Professional Mentors of Africa, who is headed by Mike. I know there are many people who knows Mike here. So Mike is represented by Tabitha. I would want to say, okay, for those who are wondering, there's also my brother here, my elder brother, who is also here. So I think you can also stand and wave. Yeah, so that is my elder brother, for those who are wondering. Yeah. So I want to also recognize Dr. Josephine Ojambo. Dr. Josephine Ojambo, for those who know him, is the immediate Deputy Secretary General for Commonwealth. And she was supposed to be here, only that she was asking, will I find someone to park? But she has said, and she has asked me to, tell you, Steve, that he is happy, she's happy with what you're doing, that you keep on doing what you're doing. And for us, Legacy Leadership Africa, I'm not also failed to recognize those who are here, those who we co-founded the organization with, apart from Steve. We have Lewis over here. And I think Lewis was also friend to Steve even before we met, but is now also part of the organization. You can also see Neto, Joan Neto is also here. And we have also Mary, who is not here, she's in France. And who again do we have? Bruce Munandi. Bruce Munandi, who was not able to make it this far. So I want to stop there, but wish you, Steve, well, as you embark on now selling this book, and we will sell these books and we will ensure that you get your investments back. Thank you.
Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, one more time. I've noticed a round of applause. So, without wasting any more time, I would like to move to our second and final speaker. I'm informed that Mr. Chigo Amadi couldn't make it, he's not around. So we have to move on to the next speaker, the African elder. You know, personally, I go somewhere with a pen and piece of paper, instead of just writing notes. So, ladies and gentlemen, in 3, 2, 1, let's give it up for Mr. Hammer Bingham.
Yes. I am so pleased to be here to be able to honor my son and meet his original father. I have a habit of finding and seeking out and appreciating wisdom. And wisdom can come as a Baba who's aged, and mine is 77, and he can come in the form of a young man. Come in the form of a young man. This young man I met several years ago at a major presentation and he spoke before I did. And after he spoke, I was ready to sit down. I was like, now what's left to be said? Truly, it was amazing. I mean, and his clarity, his sense of who he was as an African man, I find unique here in Kenya. And it startled me. And I was like, the way he was steeped in history of our culture, I said, this brother here need to be, he need to be in the house of leadership here. And he and those here and those not here that are among us have to be the leaders of the future here. And I'm not talking about just entrepreneurship. And one of the things I got ultimately, he got a call from him and he said, Baba, I want you to write at the foreword for the book. And I was, of course, honored. And we talked about the book first, then he sent me the draft. I started reading this draft, and I said to him, listen, entrepreneurship, but this is really about life skills. I mean, I was so moved as an elder to see someone of his age group to have the knowledge and the clarity about life. See, if you don't figure out life, you're not going to figure out entrepreneurship and nothing else. All right? Seriously. There are life skills. Okay? And see, one of the things that is very disappointing to me about being here in Kenya, I've been traveling in Kenya, traveling back and forth for 14 years, living here for 5. I started traveling in Africa before most of you were born, back in 1977. And the Africa of that time, is not here. And we, as a people, have lost so much. And our values, values is all it is. I can tell you about all the things, quote unquote, that I've done, but it's really about values because it's how you use it. Like once my son, who's now about 28, said to me, Dad, you know so-and-so and so about competition? I said, son, his name is Ramesses. I said, Ramesses, what you need to understand is life is not about competition. That's the white man's nonsense. That is totally against who we are as Africans. Because we're a communal people, naturally and historically, and it worked for millennia. Got it? Okay? So now, it has to do with sharing. Stephen spoke about sculpture, African sculpture. One of the reasons I got involved with African traditional sculptural material is not just because of the beauty and craftsmanship, but it's about the message that it was created to provide to us. All right? See, traditionally African sculpture, some of its primary purposes was spiritual. The others were social guidance. Okay, guidance on how to live, how to work with each other, how to be able to have success as a group, not this capitalist nonsense. Okay, you hopefully will learn, if you haven't, what real values are, and there are values as Africans. Okay, and when we get back to a place of knowing who we are in the world, what we've done historically, and what our capacity is, we'll be grown up. See, PhDs don't grow you up. Masters don't grow you up. What grows you up is inside knowing who you are and what you're a part of, and who you're a part of. See, you don't make it as an individual in the world. Okay? The Chinese, look at the Chinese. The Chinese, 40 years ago, okay, were considered, quote, by Europeans, a second-class, third-class people. Okay? Now, same thing with the Japanese before them. They used to laugh at the things that the Japanese and Chinese made. They used to say, oh, this must be made in Japan. Now, when they talk about made in Japan, it's different. Okay? Because these people had worked through their culture, maintained their values, and rose up in no time. Okay? So now, I'll give you an example. With the meeting in which we met, I was supposed to start my speech by saying X. But the ancestors told me, no. I got something else for you. They said to me, no, you're going to ask the question. Now, and the question got to be, there was 250 students, okay, considered the brightest and most advanced and most articulate, and those who show the greatest promise to be leaders in Africa. So these young people, men and women, were from all over Africa. I asked them a question to the audience. I said, tell me, who could name, raise your hands, who could name 2 Africans who have invented or created something or have provided in a way that has changed and supported a global humanity? Inventors, could have been musicians, it could have been a lot of, okay, so we didn't close down the area. Do you know out of the 250 people who I asked, because what I was really asking them is, who are you mentoring yourself after? Brother like him? Or someone like Sheikh Anta Diop? Okay? Someone like the real McCoy, Elijah McCoy? In other words, I was asking them, you're bright, no doubt, but who do you see yourself being able to be? Based on who we as Africans have done, things we have done in the world. Do you know 3 hands went up, 2 of which had no answer. The third one was a person from Jamaica who had an answer. Okay? Now, this ain't physics. Okay? So I went to the university here, spoke with the director of, I say the university here, Nairobi University, because I said, well, you know, I'm an elder, and back home what I did, I mentored and taught, and back in here, by the way, teaching is universal, okay? So, I said, I want to go there and meet the director of African Studies, met him, and others since I've been here, and the change in him in terms of how he sees himself in the world and the things he's doing is amazing in 2 years. And it's because of history and culture. Because, like he said to me earlier today, he says, you know that expression, the real McCoy? I said, yeah. I said, yes, absolutely. Okay, how many people here have heard the expression, the real McCoy? I want the real McCoy. I don't want the fake. I don't want the dumbing down Chinese version. Do you know the expression? Okay, you need to know the expression. This man, McCoy, was an African from America who had over 50 inventions. His invention was one of the primary movers of industrialization of the country of the U.S. and the world. You got to know about your people. If you don't know about your people, like people think that I got a degree. You are a degree, what you need is something inside. Because the degree ain't going to carry you. Because when you deal in this world, you're dealing with white folks and Chinese, okay? These people believe that we are inferior. And if you don't know no better, that's how they treat you. Okay? So now, when you know better, they stand back and they get behind you. Because they will know and understand that you know who you are and what you and your people have brought to the world. Okay? So now that's why that brother's important to me. And when I read his book, oh my God, I said to him, you know, this is just not about business and entrepreneurship. And trust me, I'm heavily into so-called entrepreneurship. In 3.5 years, that young man, his play brother, myself, we have invented, produced, created, developed 14 different products that are patented. Okay? In Kenya and in the US. All right? I came here to do that. You know, meaning, as an African, I came here to Africa to be able to have that kind of impact. All right? And to leave with you the sense of capacity and impact that you can have, but you've got to know your culture and your history. If not, 7 degrees, you're still a small boy inside. Okay? So don't go for the degrees. Go for the knowledge and the degrees. Go for the culture. See, because if you don't, that's what, let me give you an example real quick. Daniel will testify. Daniel and myself used to be on the road a lot, marketing various products. We would go to Toyota. I would go, in this case, visit the managing director, sister there. I would go to major textile plants. Do you know when they have anyone here been into Toyota, been over to Toyota's, what's that location we call it? You know? Yeah. Right. Anyway, their corporate office, when you walk into corporate office, walk through the door, turn to the left, you know what you see? Culture. Japanese culture. Meaning, they have a display of their culture material out front in the lobby. You know why? Because they're proud of it. They know the roots of it. They know that's the foundation for their future. Okay? Same thing went to a major textile firm. They had a whole section when you walk in, which is a room that honors Buddha. Okay? Now, why? Because they understand the importance of culture. Culture is values. If you don't have values, you got Kenya. You got the politics of Kenya because you don't have values. I'm going to say this last. I grew up in my home with Africans, continental Africans living in my home. And the one thing I saw so quickly was they had, even though they would smoke, they would go sleep and drink and do stuff. You know, there's certain things they wouldn't do. Why? Culture. Because their culture had taught them, I'm not going to embarrass my father. I'm not going to embarrass my auntie. That's what we had. Now, in Kenya, you got people who are robbing the country, going to church, and getting standing ovations. That's madness. That's because we lost our culture. Get it back. I share.
Thank you.
There's something you should know. There are 2 things that you guys usually kind of use at least once or twice a month, and for some of us daily. How many of us know the peanut butter? How many of us have ever used the peanut butter? Peanut butter was invented by one George Washington Carver, who is black. And you should know that, yeah? And then I want to tell you about another George, yeah? His name is George Crumb. George Crumb invented the potato crisps. So right about now, I would like to invite our guest of honor, our chief guest, the author, the man of the day, yeah? Man of the hour. He goes by the name of Ogweno Stephen, but I call him Stowell Inc. He will come, say a couple of words, and then from here on, I'll be back here ushering the person who will give the vote of thanks. So right about now, Ladies and gentlemen, in 3, 2, 1, I want us to put your hands together. Let's put our hands together for the man of the hour. He goes by the name Stephen Ogweno. So, in 1, 2, 3, let's give it up for Stephen Ogweno! Yes.
Right. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I must say this is very humbling, and I didn't prepare anything, so this will be very much freestyle. And before I start, I'll probably well, for those who don't bought the book, you've heard how nice it is to read, and especially from those who reviewed it. So at the end, there's a lot of copies behind there. You should get yourself a copy. But before that, let me read something from the book and then sort of start off a bit of my presentation today. All right, so this book, Practical Skills for Entrepreneurial Success, is really centered around one quote. This, I think, was one of the drivers really to how I got to write the book. And this is the quote. And the quote is, "We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit." Let me just repeat that, and I hope you get it the way I get it every time I read this. When I'm sort of in a haze and feeling uninspired, I remember that we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. So this is really the driving quote that really got me to write this book. Because as I'll continue shortly to talk about this, there is a lot of acts that I've been able to put as part of my routine. And some of that wisdom, a lot of that wisdom and view of life and trying to understand deeply what things means has really come from, I guess, one of the, if not, the wisest person I've ever interacted with. That is my father. And so, right now, we'll give him a round of applause. Yeah. And I'll invite him to come here and just give us a few words. I mean, he could go on and on and on. And then I'll sort of come in and just wrap it up. And then we'll sort of call it a day. So, that, the stage is yours again. All right, a round of applause now.
My name is Ogweno Joshua Obal. Those are my names. And Stephen is a second born in my family. I've also come with my last daughter, Effie. Yeah, so I'll not have much to say about the book because I've not gone with the book, and I was advised by him not to talk about the book, but to talk about the writer. Yeah?
Let's hear it.
Yeah, so I'll not say much else about the writer because of the time. Because as you look at the writer, he's aged. I've known him at age 0 until where he is now, aged. So if I'm to talk about him, I think we go on until daylight. Okay? So I'll give just a small brief about the writer. My coming here is to come and see what he does outside my compound. and who he relates with when he's outside my compound. I'm happy that what he's doing outside my compound is positive. Yeah? And the people is relating with are people who are adding value thank you really very much, friends of Stephen, for taking your time. I know it's late on the night. If you really didn't value him, you would not be seated here. So I'm really grateful for Steve having wonderful friends who can support him in whatever he's doing. Yeah, I don't know what he's doing here. Yeah? So it is you who are letting it believe every day. That's why I came to see what he does outside my company. One thing about Steve that I remember when he was young. I was also young. I was my second born. Actually, he had only two children. He was 4 years, and something happened that almost made us all in the family cry. I went to work. Mother also went to work. And actually, she didn't go to work. She just left the compound to the market. Within those 20 minutes, Steve disappeared. Yeah? He disappeared and he traveled 60 kilometers away from the compound. And even when he came back, I wondered, where is this child? Yeah? There was a lady, I think that lady, maybe she noticed the potential in the boy at that age. And actually she disappeared with Stephen. These are a true story. He disappeared with Stephen. We didn't sleep that night. So we slept at the police station. You can just imagine the young couples, yeah? 2 children still there, and one just disappeared like that. So we really had to take care of him, and we are always concerned where he is because of that incident. Luckily, he slept outside, but miraculously, somebody noticed the lady with her child that they were not. The child kept on crying. And he was saying, "Oh, this is my son." If this is your son, why is he crying all the time? That cry is what brought him back to us. Wow. Otherwise, he would have lost him. So that is briefly the story about Steve that I can say for now. But so when he's doing another book, I'll come and give another story.
Guys, I know I said, the last time, the time I come here is to introduce the person who is giving a vote of thanks, but then, hey, I can't just let that one go. Unajua kama ungepotea hiyo siku maybe ungepotea kabisa. Well, I'm simply saying that if he didn't get lost on that day, maybe he would be lost in life. Yeah? You never know, because some of us, if you don't get enough attention, that's why you start hanging out with the wrong crowd. And then after a while, your son knows you as let me not say Ogweno, because I realized that he's not the real Ogweno. Hey. He is. He is. Yeah? So one thing I realized is that you should have, the apple does not fall far away from the tree. Yeah? It falls somewhere near. Yeah? And I believe all this did not just come out of the blue. And now watch a kupotea bana. You do not do that again. You will scare people. Yes, you will scare people. So I'd like to invite you again back on stage. Right now we are looking at you with new eyes. Yeah? How did he get back? I was asking myself, 4 years old. At 4 years old, do you know how to speak?
Yes.
But do you know what the name? When someone asks you, what is the name? What is the name of your mother? Mom. What is the name of your father? Dad.
Well, not these days.
Not these days. Oh. Yeah.
I think.
But he is not of these days. You know, allow me to proudly say that Stephen is a kienyeji like me. Yes, it's just like, you know, a Kenyaji, I'm referring to someone who did not grow in the city. How many of us grew up in the city? Hello? Hello? Oh, so right here we only have one broiler over there. The rest of us are Kenyaji, yeah? Kenyaji. So, one thing I've been asking myself, how did you get him back? How did you get him back? You know, that's the reason as to why I came up on stage. But that is food for thought, yeah? If we got back home, that's why we are here today. So I'd like to invite you back on stage one more time. Yes, and then you do your thing. Yes.
Thank you. All right.
Round of applause.
All right. Thank you very much for sharing that. So when you read the book, actually mention snippets of that. So, and maybe I'll start from there and then sort of give a short brief into the book and a bit of the writing process. Then we'll call it a day, and then we'll come back and unveil the book in itself. So that was one experience. I've had 4 near-death experiences. So when I was writing the book, when I started to write it, I started to recall the various experiences where I was very, very close to, going. And one of the other experiences was when I was in class 3, I remember. And I fell on the sewage. And it was, the sewage was going through a river. So I was hanging by the line, and I had slipped and fallen. And it's my other sister who really, struggled getting me back up. Really struggled, but eventually I got up. But if I had gone into the water, I'd probably go, because I didn't know how to swim. Fresh boy in the city, you know how the city looks like. But yes, but these near-death experiences, when I started to write the book, and I started to mention them here and there in the book, they began to sort of reaffirm something, that I was here to make a difference. I was here to tell a story, and that there were some people in this world that were my responsibility, which was outside of my immediate environment, that I had to survive for. Because if 4 times you faced death and you came out of that alive and strong, then there must have been a reason why I was here. And then also looking back, when I started to write, that is 2017, that's when I actually started to write this book. I started to reflect back on, why am I here? I have a story, and a lot of people had begun asking me, how do I do this? How do I do that? Coming to me for advice. And I would naturally give it, and in my mind I thought that's how people are, that people would just give advice and see things differently and offer insight. And I soon came to discover that that was not necessarily the case, and that it was a unique thing. And the more people began coming to me, asking me for things to do for them, the more I thought, maybe I should put it down in a book, so that the next time you come asking me something, I'd probably say, have you read my book? It's all there. So maybe start from there, and then we sort of continue. So part of the reason why I started then to write the book was really to document the first 25 years of my life, and to document the life experiences that I have had already, to document the lessons that I got from those life experiences, and also to document practical skills. Because one of the things that I really value, more than just superficial advice and motivation and this kind of talk that gets you up and high and ready to do things, is how do we actually do them? How do we actually start? How do we actually develop? How do we actually grow? If we are talking about mindsets, how do we actually start doing something today that ensures that we are able to translate what we've learned into action? And I remember when you reviewed the book the second time, you suggested a title change for the book. Because as you said, the book is more about life lessons and values. And you suggested a few titles. But I sort of came back to this title that ultimately, what I want to share through this book is practical skills, that what we can use very practically to start today to be able to change our mindset, then to be able to change our skill set, then to be able to change the communities around us. And that is why the book is primarily named Practical Skills for Entrepreneurial Success. Now, the other thing that I think has really been important throughout my journey is the people I've met. And I'm an ambivert, so I'm a bit extroverted and a bit introverted, and sometimes, most of the times, I'm very, very selective with the kind of people I associate with, because I really value strong, diverse conversations and not just talking superficially. So I'm always very, very selective with the people that I met and engaged with. And I was so happy that the people that I've been able to identify as friends, as colleagues, as families, are people who I sort of value because they come from a very select cohort of people who are visionary, you guys, people who are entrepreneurial, people who want to do something more. And so people like you is who, again, really inspire me to then, continue being the optimist, the entrepreneur, and the visionary that I am. Because ultimately, when I go to the question and I ask it in the book is, who are you? And most of the people, when I ask them, who are you, they talk about their profession. And some of them, when I ask, who are you, they talk about their name. You are not your name, And so, once I started to think deeply about this question myself, then I found out that in defining yourself as a person is really goes down to what are the values you consider fundamental to who you are, but more than that, what do you see yourself and your contribution in this wave of cosmic energy that we call up. And so for myself, besides all the businesses or the enterprises that I've started, or the education that I have had, or sort of the awards and the titles that I've won, I ended up coming to the conclusion that I'm an optimist, that I want to see the future, and I want to see it brightly, and I want to see the sun shining, and the flowers blooming, and the people growing. That I'm an entrepreneur, that I want to create opportunities for people to contribute in enterprise and business, because in the marketplace, that is how my value is measured. And then I'm a visionary in the sense that I want to see, I'm always thinking about the future. I'm always thinking about long term. I'm always thinking about how are we going to engage long term? How are we going to create development long term? How are we going to transform the continent and ultimately ourselves in the long term? And so the question that I want to ask you today, and some of the answers to these questions are in the book, so that is the other reason why you need to read the book, is who are you as a person? Who really are you? And I believe when you begin to answer that question, and when you begin to understand the value of who we are as a person, and then tie it back to where I started, that we are what we repeatedly do, then you get to the conclusion, like Will Durant did, that excellence then is not an act, but a habit. Thank you.
Yes.
Till number buy goods, the till number is 761402. 761402. Guys, if 10 of you buy that book, my friend, we are good. 10 of us buy that book, my friend, we are good. And when you buy it, please go read it on your phone. One more time, the till number is 761402. Yeah? And if one book has been bought, I believe we've launched the book. Yeah? Has the book been bought?
Yes.
No, that is via cash. We have to buy. That is one. That is one. Now one for online. Yeah, one for online. Someone please buy the book. The till number once again is 761402. 402. After which, from now on, this is what is going to happen. Yeah? Since we did not have a ribbon to cut in order to launch the book, this is what we're going to do. After the vote of thanks and the closing prayer, we're going to gather here in front and take a photo together with the author. If you want your own photo, the author will be here. So what we will do, instead of having to launch it by cutting a ribbon, we will take photos and post them online in order to market the book, in order to get more clients and buy the book too. Remember, if you can, buy the book, yeah? Buy the book, yeah? One more time, guys, buy the book. So, and no one has bought the book by M-Pesa.
So we have, the book has been bought now.
Yeah.
Ola is my, all right,
Ola.
let me do it nicely.
Yes.
So,
Who is our first buyer online?
right, so our first buyer online is Ola. And I'd like him to stand up for another reason. So Ola, stand up. All right. So, let me tell you a bit about Ola and how we relate with this friend of mine. So Ola is, you see us looking nice like this. Myself, where's Kevin? Kevin over there, Bon over here. So Ola is a designer and he runs the House of Bemi. So when I travel everywhere, internationally, locally, at conferences, I always ensure that I'm representing Africa and I'm always dressed up in Africa and looking nice all the time. Ola is the one who does our clothes. And so big round of applause for Ola. Yeah, and also back there you'll see the two banners for House of Bemi. That is the other side of me when I'm a model and not an entrepreneur. And that is also done by Ola. So thank you very much for being our first buyer.
Round of applause for Ola. If you look at me carefully, Ola, there's a business opportunity. This is not House of Bemi, but I can come to the house. Yeah? And a special shout out to Modo Wanyomba, man of the house. He's our DJ. In Gikoyo, Modo Wanyomba means person of the house. So that is our DJ over here. In case you guys haven't realized, I am touching on the vote of thanks because you're coming to the end of the program. But in order to do that properly, I would like to invite up on stage Miss Catherine Silva to come move a vote of thanks. Yeah? Round of applause until she reaches on stage. Yes, thank you.
In Hamjambo, what is the evening one?
Yes, that one.
That one. I wanted to confirm to Mr. MC that I was also in primary of schools. 844 primary of schools. You don't look like 844. It's been an amazing evening. Do we agree? Yeah. A short speech. I want to speak about when I first met Stephen. So we met in some committee of sorts that was to do with impact, him and a few other gentlemen here. And Stephen shocked me because I'm a career person in the corporate world, but I also do a lot of mentoring and coaching for youth, and I've done it within the corporate world. And that is truly my passion. Mentoring, coaching, and as an author, I wrote a children's book where I wanted us to teach values to the children that we feel are lost in our community, as our elders spoke about in Africa. And so I meet this guy, and we're in a group and we're talking, and like I said, I've dealt with so many youth. And we can all agree our society has positives, negatives, but in Africa, a lot of what we believe is legacy has become money, power, and celebritydom defined in the wrong way. All right? So I meet this guy and I'm like shocked and blown away because this is a youth that believes legacy is impact. Legacy is what he wants to live in Africa. I mean, he never spoke anything about money. he knows that will come later. So I've never told him that, but when I met him, that really took me aback, and thank you for that, Steve. So anyway, Steve and I have done quite a few things together. We have more to do. And he was the first cover model of a magazine that I write, that is an online magazine. So, and that's why I chose him, because Core Africa magazine is about real impact in Africa. So the magazine will not put a celebrity on the cover, because I want to showcase people who are making a difference. But making a difference how? Us normal, ordinary human beings making a difference. Yes? Making a meal for your neighbor, coaching someone, helping in the smallest of ways, you can make a difference. And I think that is something important we need to believe as Africans. Because we believe making a difference is when I get money, when I have that status, but making a difference, like he said, is us empowering each other. So he was my first cover model. I was very happy to have him as that. And I believe it was House of Genbi now that was what you were wearing. Makofi again. So I wanted to say thank you to your parents, so your dad who is present. Thank you for raising a gentleman that I see as a future leader that we need in our continent.
Sure.
Yes. So that is what I saw of Stephen, and we are proud of you. Thank you for writing. Thank you for everything you do. It is important, and thank you. Right? Thank you for this evening and for asking me to give a vote of thanks. And I would like to first start with thanking the elders, the speakers, all of you that came to visit, his friends, and our DJ at the back, and those that served us, and the hotel. And last but not least, our MC. Can please come forward. Shall we give him a hefty clap as well?
So all this is just to thank you guys for coming through, and I have nothing more to say. It's been a fruitful evening, and I look forward to more launches like this, more crowds like this, more people like you. And I was told when I finish an event, I tell people the things that I do. So my name is Donald, official names. My stage name is Nechio. I am an end-to-end creative, an actor, comedian, MC, anything that deals with entertainment, I am there. Yes? So in the case that you might have an event such as this one, or you have something that needs someone to officiate, you can always call on me. The one thing I've never done, I've never MC'd, is a funeral only. Yes, and I am afraid you might make people laugh inside a funeral. Yeah, it is not a good thing. Hello? In Africa, if you can't make people laugh inside a funeral, my friend, they'll say that you are happy the person died, which is not a good thing entirely. So without wasting any more time, I'd like, for the closing prayer, I'd like to invite Mr. Ogweno up on stage to give us a closing prayer. Round of applause for the master.
Okay, tuamke basi. Tuomba kwa Kiswahili. Wale ambao sikii Kiswahili mtaniwia radhi. Tupe macho msiangalie wakati naomba. Baba yetu aishiye mbinguni, tunasema ni asante kwa kuweza kutupa hii nafasi ya kuja katika hii book launch. Wakati ambao tulikuwa tunaanza, tunaomba kwamba ukaweza kuwa nasi na tunaweza kumaliza salama salimini. Tunaomba kwamba wakati ambao tunaenda nyumbani ukaweza kuwa nasi na ukaweza kufanya tukaweza kufika salama. Katika jina la Yesu Kristo tunaomba na kuamini.
Amen. All right.
How are you?